Today on The Point TV.
Being creative, I kind of always felt that I was never really sort of stacking up, I guess. Being creative is kind of an interesting one because I've always got grand ideas and big pictures and big dreams, and I'm always looking for something new and adventurous.
And this is really simple. You'll think it's crazy, but you just need to slice 2mm slices like you're making a sandwich.
Sure, I can do that.
And then you place the slices on top of your potting mix, put a little bit more potting mix over the top of that, and then water it in.
Number one is find what's really important to you, what matters to you the most in your life.
All this and more on The Point TV.
Hi, I'm Megan Gibson.
I'm Julia Schaefer.
And I'm Louise Fowler.
After being in the corporate world for 20 years, suffering 3 burnouts, numerous strokes and health issues, Tracy Eaton decided enough was enough. The constant stress was taking its toll on her health, and earlier this year she turned her back on the corporate life to finally honour and follow her true passion as an artist. Taking the plunge back into her art, Tracy has been able to fully immerse herself into her creativity and be herself completely. Tonight we're going to hear about her latest project and how she's using it to create change, helping women understand that by truly valuing yourself and following your heart, you can live a full, self-expressed life.
Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight,
No
Tracy.
problem.
It's a pleasure to have you. Now, you look gorgeous.
Thank you. So do you.
As always. The picture of health. In fact, I know you're so excited about your upcoming project, and we're going to hear a lot more about that tonight, so I'm really excited about that. Now, I have to ask you, have you always been an artist, or is this a brand new journey for you?
I've always been creative. Ever since I can remember, I've always tried to find something I can not even draw, but paint, colour, create, do something. And I think that's really part of business is about creating as well. But an artist, I've never called myself an artist until this year.
Wow.
I know.
We're going to dig there too. I'd like to know more about that. So tell me, what made you go so hard down the corporate path? Because, I mean, we've chatted and I know it nearly killed you. So
Yes,
what
it
was
did.
that motivation?
Being creative, I kind of always felt that I was never really sort of stacking up, I guess. Being creative is kind of an interesting one because I've always got grand ideas and big pictures and big dreams, and I'm always looking for something new and adventurous. But to me, it was never really a real job. I thought, oh my God, I can't make a living out of this. This isn't genuine. This isn't an opportunity. So I did the right thing, or so I thought was the right thing, and poured my time into actually building business, I guess, making money, doing what I thought was a real job. Yeah.
Wow. And so, but I mean, you pushed it really hard.
Yes, I did. Yes,
Really
I did.
hard.
I kind of do that a lot with anything that I do. It's not just a little bit, it's everything.
You wouldn't be competitive by any chance?
No, not at all, not at all. Not at all.
Fabulous. Fabulous.
Why did I push it hard? Because ever since I can remember, I know what it's like to feel and to not have power. And ever since I can remember, I've always felt like I was never quite good enough. Don't know what enough was or who that was for, but it was never enough. So I pushed and pushed and pushed to prove to myself and to everybody around me, or so I thought, that I was good enough, that I was intelligent enough, that I could do it. So that's why I pushed so hard.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so powerful. And tell me, that's not very creative. It's not very creative. I mean, you were in that space and you were definitely pushing it and pumping it in the corporate space, but where was the creativity in that? Because you just look creative, just looking at you.
Why, thanks. I guess that's a compliment.
Look at you.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's not creative, and what I found is I did subconsciously take on a lot of traits that I'd never actually particularly liked. So I was pretty staunch and strong and a real kind of driver, I guess, and I wouldn't take no for an answer, so I was almost, I wouldn't say aggressive, but very, very forceful. So, and the one thing, the femininity that I am is actually my creativity, and that is the one thing that I know is the core of who I am, and that was also the one thing that I completely let go. I gave it up.
Wow, that's so powerful.
Yeah.
So powerful. So in that case then, Thank you for sharing that. That actually really touched me. I don't know about our audience, but just your creativity is your femininity.
Yes, it is, very much.
Of course it is.
And if you see the way I paint and the colours I use, and yes, absolutely.
Wow. So tell me about this project. What was the big shift for you? What made you shift out of corporate and into being an artist? What was the motivation behind the shift?
I couldn't do it anymore. I mean, we heard before in the intro, I got a little sick. From my late 20s, I ended up having to have a hysterectomy quite young. I had significant, mini strokes at the age of 41, which is kind of a big wake-up call, because it's like, oh my God, stress is ruling my life here. And in the last year, I've had a couple of surgeries to remove lumps in places they shouldn't be. So it's kind of like, you know what? We got to the point where I'm thinking, I have got to make a change. I have got to stop this. So
you were forced to?
I was forced to. I was forced to actually get in touch with who I truly was. And I guess what really, what inspired me the most to make a change is I realised in my entire life I had never actually valued the core person that I was, and the one thing that I was really, really good at, which is inspiring people and creating something amazing. So for the first time, that was why I went, you know what, I'm done, bring it on, give me a brush,
and you just
put my hair up, put my crazy little clothes on, and I just walked away. Yeah. And it was awesome. Yeah.
Okay, now I want to get to the core of this, because we want to hear about this amazing project.
Yeah.
So Emergence, I mean, the name itself is just, it says it all. So, but I know you've got a big story to tell with this project. So can you share?
Yeah, I've only got like this long, so.
I know, you've got like a couple of minutes left.
Okay, all right, so very, very, very quickly. Emergence started out obviously as a personal project for me because, as I said before, with some of my life experiences, I know very much what it's like to have power taken away from you and feeling like you are just worth nothing. So Emergence for me was about coming back into going, you know what, I was about to swear, blow all this, and releasing that corporate skin and becoming who I truly was. So my first photo shoot was very raw and very almost basically naked, because what's happening is that instead of me creating pieces on canvas, those creations are being body painted on me. What happened with that is because it was a metallic body paint and it was almost nothing there, it very much became bigger than that, and I realised that I have an opportunity to showcase and inspire women to say, you know what, it doesn't matter. I'm 44 years old. I got scars.
44.
Oh, thank you, darling.
Actually, I didn't know that, but
yeah,
you
I know you did.
44.
But you can be and do whatever you want, and it doesn't happen until we start giving ourselves some respect, and so we start to giving ourselves some true value and appreciate who we are. And it's a shame it's taken a whole 44 years to get there, but we're so there. So that's what Emergence is about for us now. Thank you.
So powerful. We are going to have to get you back on the show to hear more about this project and how you're going to impact many, many women. I just know you are, because you're so passionate about it. And if you'd like to follow Tracy's journey with Emergence, you can find her on Facebook. We can find you on Facebook. Tracy Eaton Artist is her Facebook page. And the key message that I want you to take away from Tracy's story tonight is that your personal power lies in your ability to fully respect yourself. And, if you can't truly value who you are, or when you truly value who you are going to live that full self-expressed life. So thank you for watching The Point TV, and I'll see you next time.
If you add up the food Australians waste each year, it's enough to fill 450,000 garbage trucks. Placed end to end, the convoy would fill the gap between Australia and New Zealand just over 3 times. With our nation's growing disconnection with the food we eat and where it comes from, it's heartening to see a remarkable resurgence in urban gardening. Because when we grow our own food, we participate more in nature's cycles and form a closer bond with the earth. As a mum, I've witnessed that difficult situation at the dinner table where the vegetables are pushed aside in favour of other things. And knowing that only 28% of Australian children are eating the recommended 3 or more serves on a daily basis, I believe that getting them involved in growing an urban garden can cultivate a new relationship between them and the veggies on their plate. So Victoria, I hear you have a 4-year-old child and you're having a really hard time getting him to eat his vegetables. So the idea came up to start your own vegetable garden, but what's holding you back?
A few things are holding me back. I live in an apartment, so I've only got a balcony. I'm not a green finger, no way, not at all. And when I go to the nursery, all the plants seem really expensive.
Yes, those concerns affect a lot of people, and I think that really stops them from moving forward. But what if I was to tell you that for very little money, on your balcony, with odds and sods and kitchen leftovers, I could get your first vegetable garden started?
I'm really interested to hear more.
Yes,
Yep.
you are?
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, so the first thing that you need is a container to keep your garden in. Now, you've only got a balcony, so you're not going to rush off to the hardware store, buy one of those prefabricated raised garden
Not
beds.
enough room.
No, and too expensive, aren't they? So I need you to think outside the box.
Okay.
Okay, so think about the containers that you have at home that could house a plant.
All right.
And think eclectic. So things that you've got at home or you could pick up at a garage sale. Things like it might be wine boxes, a collection of those, wicker baskets that you could put plastic pots in.
Never thought of that.
Yeah, amazing. Or olive oil cans, you know, those beautiful decorative ones.
Yep.
They make a great collection.
Okay.
So I've got some samples for you here. I've got this galvanised bucket.
Okay.
I've got an umbrella stand.
No way. I would never think of using something like that.
Crazy. And also this little billy that we used to use when we were camping.
Okay.
So together they make a kind of an eclectic sort of little grouping. So you don't need much to
All
get
right.
started.
Looks good.
The next thing that you need is some soil, and this is the thing that I need you to invest a little bit of money in. Not
Okay.
a lot though, okay? So you need to get the best quality organic potting mix that you can afford. So trot down to the nursery, buy a bag. It should cost between $7 and $14 depending on what you buy and where you buy it.
I have seen them at the supermarket as well. Could I use one from the supermarket?
They're generally not very good quality, so I would definitely stick to the nursery, okay?
All right, back to the nursery. Good idea.
And it'll help the plants grow if you really invest in that. So the next thing that's really expensive, as you mentioned, was the seedlings, the little plants. So let's start here. What's Darcy's favourite vegetable? Because I think it's smart to grow something that he's into, and then we can sneak in some other veggies as well.
Funnily enough,
Get him
it's
convinced.
this one.
Oh, tomato. That's great because you know what? Tomato is one of the easiest plants to grow, and he'll enjoy seeing results really quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, so what I need you to do is next weekend when you go to the farmer's market, pick up an extra tomato, so enough for your family, and then an extra one that we're going to use to create a plant. And this is really simple, you'll think it's crazy, but you just need to slice 2mm slices like you're making a sandwich.
Sure, I can do that.
And then you place the slices on top of your potting mix, put a little bit more potting mix over the top of that, and then water it in.
Fine.
And you do that for about 7 to 14 days, and in that time frame, the little tomato plants will start to pop their heads up through the soil. How easy is that?
Never expected it.
Crazy. It's really easy, really easy. The other thing that you need to remember with tomato plants is that they need some structure to hang on to as they grow. So when you're off to the playground with Darcy next time, collect some 1 metre sticks, maybe 6 or 7 of them, tie them in a bundle just on one end and create a teepee.
He's going to love that.
Oh,
A
he
teepee,
will, yeah.
you sure?
Stick it in the pot, yeah, absolutely. And that gives them a structure then to hang on to as the plants develop.
Okay, we can do that.
Yeah. So now to get some more plants into your garden, do you remember when your grandparents were making vegetables for dinner that they would scoop out the seeds and they would keep them?
I thought that was a bit odd.
It's really a great way of getting free food or free vegetable plants. So it works really well with pumpkin. You can, although when you're in an apartment, you don't want to be using pumpkin because you'll be sharing them with the neighbours.
Okay, point taken.
But look, things like capsicum are really good. You scoop out the seeds from the capsicum, put them on the windowsill to dry.
Okay.
And then you can either, packet them off for another time or stick them straight into, actually with these sorts of things, you probably need to put them in an egg carton, believe it or not, to get the seeds started.
We have lots of egg cartons. We make crocodiles out of them.
Well, you're going to have to snafu one off Darcy to get your seeds started.
Okay.
So you put a little bit of potting mix in your egg carton, plant the seeds, and once again water them daily for 7 to 14 days, and you'll see the little plants start to emerge. Then, when they're about 10 to 15 centimetres high, cut the carton into its little compartments and plant the entire thing into your pot.
The whole thing?
Yeah, the whole thing. It maintains the root ball so it doesn't disrupt the roots, keeps the plant together, and of course this is cardboard, so it's going to compost down and your plant will be
easy.
Really, yeah, and
we
it'll be
can
protected.
do that.
Awesome, cool. And so it's really great with capsicum. Another veggie that works really well, and it's something that kids love to eat, is cucumber.
Okay.
So you can get the seeds out of your cucumber, put them on the windowsill, etc., etc. So tell me, when you're cooking for Darcy and your family, do you use spring onions very much?
Actually, I love to add them into my Italian cooking.
Ah, okay. And I bet when you're chopping them up, you're using the green part, and then there's the white bit that's got the furry end on it. I bet that goes in the bin.
It sure does, yeah.
You've just thrown out a perfectly good plant.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's have a look at this shallot plant here. It's looking a little withered. Okay, so we get down to about this part here.
Yep, okay.
Cut that off. And now these poor things have been probably in the supermarket for a couple of weeks. So I pop the end bit into a glass of water on the sink to rehydrate. So 1 to 2 days would be perfect, and it's crazy, but you'll see that the plant starts to grow while it's in that glass of water in 1 to 2 days.
Excellent.
And then it's just a case of putting that in the soil, just up to about, 2 centimetres worth into the soil, and it'll start to grow straight away. And the cool thing about that is that you actually can harvest straight from the plant. So you don't have to pull the whole thing out, just harvest straight from the plant. Anyway, there's lots and lots of other things that I could tell you about.
Thanks.
I hope I've inspired you to
have
get that
indeed.
veggie garden started.
Both
Fabulous.
Darcy and I will have a veggie garden soon.
Oh, that's awesome. If you'd like some more tips about urban gardening, please hop onto my website, farewellmymanicure.com. You've been watching The Point TV. Thanks very much. Happy gardening.
Two years ago, this young woman found herself lying in a Sydney intensive care unit. This was due to her third experience of severe adrenal fatigue, otherwise known as burnout. Like so many people in today's stressful and demanding society, Cara spent most of her time chasing success and trying to live up to society's unrealistic expectations. She's gone from an eating disorder, overtraining, overworking, and constantly feeling like she had to keep proving herself, to now, where she is living a life with balance, joy, happiness, and fulfilling a passion to teach other women how to truly thrive in our chaotic world.
Welcome to the show, Cara, and it's just such an incredible pleasure to have you here. I'd like to congratulate you first, though, because you have made a remarkable journey, and you've, like the comeback kid, and you've made that journey from burnout to brilliance. Well done.
Thank you, Louise.
Well done. I'd like to ask you a question which I think a lot of our viewers would be curious to find out. How did you end up in an intensive care unit with burnout?
It was really interesting, Louise, because something that was so small in my body escalated to something quite life-threatening, all because I chose to ignore the early warning signs. And I remember so clearly being in so much pain for a number of days, and the doctors could not work out what was wrong with me. And at the end of the period, the doctor came into my room and he said, "Cara, you need to slow down."
And I can see a grin on your face there. I need to slow down. And I think that rings in many people's ears where we say that to ourselves. There are times where we go, we really need to slow down here. But also other people are saying that to us. Or maybe we're saying that to our loved ones. Please slow down. In itself, that is an early warning sign. Now, what are some of the early warning signs you ignored and other people are ignoring?
The symptoms or early warning signs, Louise, normally present themselves in clusters. And if they're not addressed, they grow, which is what I did. I ignored them. So I personally experienced most of your typical ones. So I was constantly tired. I was constantly, running out of time to want to do anything socially because I was overworking constantly, but feeling completely disengaged and demotivated. It didn't feel like I was in an obvious state of crisis, but deep down inside, I was in a full-blown crisis.
And that is a full-blown crisis, and we can see where that's ended up for you in the intensive care unit. Would you say that there are stages before you actually get to that tipping point of burnout?
Definitely. And this early stage, Louise, has become such a problem in the modern day, very busy, chaotic world that we know. And in fact, the specialists have coined it its own condition, and that's brownout. And if you can imagine a falling star, the star goes through brownout before it completely burns out and explodes. And Louise, I was like that star.
I love the description of the star, and I think a lot of us relate to the fact of, because it's the star fading out, isn't it, before it kind of fades right away. And we notice that in our lives where the joy, the passion, the vitality that we need to have a happier life fades away because we get buried under to-do lists.
Yes.
So would you say that brownout is actually now starting to become an epidemic in our society?
Definitely, and there's statistics to prove it, Louise. There's a study being done just recently with 1,000 corporate women, and they concluded that 5% of these women had full-blown burnout, but an alarming 40% had brownout. That is so scary.
It is scary. So if we put that into like the form of people as such, that's 50 women out of every 1,000 are on the couch.
Yep.
They're debilitated. And how long does it take them to come out of that?
For some people, Louise, it can take years.
And it does. It takes away a big chunk of your life.
Yep.
So then those statistics are showing that 400 out of every 1,000 women in corporate are actually on their way into burnout. And that is frightening for our personal lives, our local communities, and a global community. Mm-hmm. Now, we're all at risk.
Yes.
Because we're all busy.
Yes.
And what I'd like to know, what are some measures that our viewers can actually start to take now and implement so they don't actually ever get into that brownout or that burnout stage?
I'm so glad you asked that question, Louise, because we can do simple things every day. Number one is find what's really important to you, what matters to you the most in your life.
And can you just elaborate on that a little bit more? How can we actually do that?
Sure. It's actually very simple, and that's give yourself the permission to stop for a moment and to just contemplate, what is it that I want for my life, or what values do I want to live for?
And just taking that little bit of time, just to take that little time away from the heavy schedule, can change your life for the rest of your life.
Definitely.
And I think that's beautiful. What would be a second measure that we can implement?
Question everything on your to-do list.
And you say that adamantly.
I do.
Can tell.
I used to have a very long one, and some of that stuff was crazy. I didn't need to do it. The question to ask is, am I doing this thing, this task, because it matters to me? Or am I doing it to live up to somebody else's unrealistic expectations of me?
And that's the key. There are all expectations out there that we do want to do, but in a lot of cases, they're unrealistic expectations. And for us now, we just have to not get caught in that actual trap where we're trying to be everything to everybody.
Exactly.
Now, what would be the third tip that you want to share
My favourite.
Yes.
Spend more time in nature. It's free and it's accessible to most of us. You can do so many simple things like take your lunch out into the sun and not look at your phone, or walk around the block before or after work. Take a book and read it underneath a tree for 20 minutes. Disconnect from the world. And it's so massively healing that people don't realise just spending that bit of time in nature. And I actually have a quote that I like to share with all of my clients regularly, and that is 10 to 15 minutes a day will keep the doctor away.
Oh, that's good. I really like that. And we can just see the smile on your face. And you have gone from burnout to brilliance. Look at you. It's just radiating from you. So I'm so proud of you. I've known you for a few years. I've seen this remarkable journey. I want to thank you for coming onto this show and sharing a very important message. You've shared knowledge, you've shared tips, but what I'm so incredibly proud of what you're doing, and it's a necessity in our world today, is that you're spreading the awareness around it. And I know you go into a lot more depth in your weekend retreats.
Yes.
And I just want to say thank you so much for bringing your brilliance onto the show today.
Thank you, Louise. It's been a pleasure.
And I would actually like to thank everybody else for being here on The Point TV. And if you want to know more about what Kara's doing with her retreats, go to her Facebook page, Living Empowered Retreats. I did the getting wrong.